Testament in the Bible says that when God wanted to show the Egyptians who was boss, he visited 10 plagues upon the land. Awful things like locusts, pestilence, and swarms of frogs and flies. As horrific as those sound, they're nothing next to number 2 on our countdown, the modern day plagues that may destroy us. And they're not sent from above.
As we go about our daily lives, few people realize that all around us are invisible creatures, ancient species that have the potential to bring our civilization to its knees.
What we've not tamed and never will be able to tame and ought not even try to tame is the microscopic world of the microbes.
Most are harmless, but some can kill us in hours. And now with modern technology, mankind has the power to make them deadlier than ever.
You know it's just a matter of time until you have an enormous disaster, whether it's man-made or Mother Nature.
The World Health Organization predicts millions could die.
11 flu outbreaks in birds just in the last month.
If left unchallenged, this virus could become the first pandemic of the 21st century.
The H5N1 strain of avian flu has been causing a worldwide panic. But why are health officials so frightened? For the answer, experts say you only have to look back 90 years.
In 1918, we had one of the greatest pandemics ever to hit Homo sapiens. It wiped out perhaps 40 million people. More than that died from World War I.
The flu hit some cities so hard the dead bodies overflowed from the morgues. Caskets were lined up in the streets.
We had little caskets for the little babies that stretched for 4 and 5 blocks.
This global tragedy was caused by a flu that killed less than 3% of the people who caught it. Experts say the current avian flu could be many times more lethal, and that it has the potential to be the deadliest pandemic mankind has ever seen. And even if we dodge this bullet, another deadly disease will surely emerge. In fact, experts say we are overdue.
Pandemics are like earthquakes, hurricanes, and tsunamis. They occur. There have been 10 of them in the last 300 years. We know we're going to have more in the future.
One of which just might be capable of being a true, massive, catastrophic pandemic that circulates the world and takes out a very considerable percentage of the global population.
But as lethal as Mother Nature can be, today man can be much more deadly.
See, Mother Nature can be terribly harsh. And H5N1, pandemic flu, could just be extraordinarily devastating to our society. However, from my military background, I would probably still say the one that scares me the most is man-made, because it's a thinking enemy.
We have used germs as weapons for centuries. In the 1300s, Mongol armies catapulted plague-infected corpses over the enemy's city walls. In the 1700s, the British gave smallpox-infected blankets to Native American tribes. And then by the Cold War, we were able to take germs to a whole new level.
They wanted agents which would kill more people, which would kill people easier, which would have severe symptoms and so on.
Sergei Popov headed genetic engineering projects in the former Soviet Union's bioweapons program. He says it is possible to take smallpox, one of the greatest natural killers, and engineer it to be the ultimate weapon.
A typical smallpox kills 30% of infected people. The re-engineered smallpox would differ from this. I believe it would kill 100% of people.
The revolution in biotechnology has made germ engineering cheaper and easier than ever. There are now tens of thousands of people with the expertise needed to build a new virus, and the number grows by the thousands each year. What's more, the instructions and the formulas are available on the internet.
We lived for many decades under the threat of nuclear annihilation. Fortunately, there were a very limited number of people who had their finger on the button. The question then becomes, what happens when you give that button to everyone on the planet? I think it's probably fair to say that the button will get pressed.
You might ask, who would want to do such a thing? But history teaches us there are always a few people who, if they had the ability, might want to try.
Some people have said, thank God Ted Kaczynski was a mathematician and not a biologist.
In most situations, it's not about money. It's not about revenge, but it's about belief.
What would happen if someone took a deadly disease like Ebola, made it as contagious as the common cold, and then released it? Somewhere out there in a secret lab, a highly trained individual bent on destruction could be plotting mass murder on a global scale.
Let's say you're a very sophisticated genetic engineer who, for whatever reason, thinks that it's morally justifiable, or that even that there's a mandate for you to create a superbug, and you decide you want something that has the hemorrhagic capacity of Ebola to make people bleed out, is as infectious to human beings as a common cold, and you set out with that as your mission, and you create such an organism.
If a contagious germ like this could be made, then how would you spread it? No crop dusters or tainted food would be needed. It could start with just one infected person and be set loose, simply with a sneeze.
The best way to move a disease is probably an infected person incubating something. You don't have to worry about breaking the vial.
They would select places where a lot of people move through, subway systems, airports.
Whether it was a deadly flu or a man-made killer germ, once it gets out in today's world, it would be practically impossible to stop. The infection would start in a single place, one village, one town, or one city.
We will pick that up probably in the first days. There are some who believe we can stop it there by moving certain drugs in.
We have this incubation period for pathogens that can go from 3 days to 3 weeks before you have symptoms. Much of your society is going to be infected before you ever know it.
With air travel and transport, it'll be around the globe within days or weeks.
As news broke that people were dying of an incurable infectious disease, many government leaders might close their borders and international travel might grind to a halt.
All of this would be very much in our face, on the news, in the newspaper.
First is going to be mass panic. People getting on the telephones, calling people to find out if there's anyone selling any kind of pill, any kind of gas mask.
And with no way to stop the spread of infection, it would be in our backyard in days.
Now imagine it's Kansas City, and you're comfortably in your home in Chicago, watching it on TV and thinking, it's coming. It's going to be here in Chicago.
If you knew an incurable deadly disease was spreading in your neighborhood, how would you survive? Would you go to the supermarket for food, ride the subway, or take the bus? How would you react if a person near you began to cough?
You're going to be constantly bombarded with the thought, I might die, I might get infected, and that person that just passed me might be the one.
The gut-wrenching challenge of holding a child in your arms who's dying of something for which there is no help would be overwhelmingly difficult.
Hospitals would be overrun with the dying and the dead, and hopes would surely turn to scientists who would be racing to find a cure. Right now, it can take 6 months to make a vaccine, if one can be made at all. By then, billions could already be dead.
We might get the solution eventually, but not fast enough.
Yet whether it's a lethal new influenza or a man-made synthetic disease, modern medicine will still be our best hope for survival.
The biotechnical revolution is without question a dual-edged sword. We're going to see enormous advances in biotechnology in the next decade. The unfortunate side is, to virtually all of that biotechnology, there's a dark side.
Most of the threats we face come from the progress we have made in science and technology. The number is likely to increase in the future with the development of new technologies and new ways things can go wrong. Although the chance of a disaster to planet Earth in a given year may be quite low, it adds up over time and becomes a near certainty in the next 1,000 or 10,000 years.
Coming up, the #1 threat to life on Earth. We see springtime coming 2 weeks earlier. We see less snow in the mountains.
More powerful windstorms, extreme precipitation events. Virtually every year now is hotter than the previous year.
Temperatures have hit dangerous levels from St. Louis to Memphis and from Raleigh to New York.
If we go down a business as usual course, we're really talking about a different planet.